Hello, my name is Jarette Borges, and I'm the head of department at the Scholars. Today, I will share with you some insights on the CAT4 assessments, which are very helpful to understand your students' abilities. Let us begin. CAT4 is an assessment tool used by private schools in the UAE for their entry process, as it gives a broad and very good understanding of a student's academic potential and the way he learns. What you see on your screen is the terminology used in the GL CAT4 assessments. Batteries: verbal reasoning, nonverbal reasoning, quantitative reasoning, and spatial abilities. The standardized age score, a ST9, the National Percentile Ranking or the NPR, a bias, and verbal deficit. What is the CAT4 assessment? The CAT4 stands for Cognitive Ability Test, and students are tested through 4 batteries. They have each battery divided further into 2 subcategories: the verbal classification and the verbal analogies under verbal reasoning battery, the number analogies and number series in the quantitative reasoning battery, figure classification and figure matrices in the non-verbal reasoning battery. Thinking with words has 2 subcategories through which the students are tested in their ability to think with words: verbal classification and verbal analogies. The quantitative reasoning battery is where the students are tested with their ability to think with numbers through number analogies and number series. The nonverbal reasoning battery, or thinking with shapes, have subcategories called the figure classification or figure matrices. The spatial ability battery, or thinking with shapes in space, tests the student's ability through figure analysis and figure recognition. Let us now understand how a student's performance is quantified and defined through the SAS, or the Standardized Age Score, and the NPR, or the National Percentile Ranking. The Standardized Age Score is the most important piece of information, as it is derived based on the students' raw scores, which is adjusted according to their age in years and months, and then compared with a sample group of students in the UK. The average score for a SAS is 100. The National Percentile Rank, or the NPR, has an average of 50. This means that if a student has scored 5, he is performing in the lowest 5% of the group. And if a student has scored a 95, that means he is performing in the highest 5%. The second column that you see on your screen tells you the number of questions a student has attempted out of the total number of questions he received in each battery. Column number 5, ST, stands for ST9, which ranges from 1 to 9, 1 being the lowest and 9 the highest a student can achieve. The 90% confidence bands is another important piece of information, as it gives you an accurate estimate of where a student's score may fall should he be given the test again within a period of time. The 90% confidence bands is another interesting piece of information, as it tells you where a student's score may lie should he be tested again in the test within a given period of time. The range means that he will achieve. The range means that there is a 90% chance that he will receive a score within the range that is marked along the SAS bands. The next visual offers you a simple understanding of the quantified scores through a description. You are aware that the stenines range from 1 to 9, where 1 is the lowest and 9 is the highest. You are also familiar now that the standardized age score has an average of 100 and the average score for the national percentile rank is 50. Very clearly, the picture tells you that the stenines 4, 5, and 6 fall in the average range. Anything above 6 is above average, while 1, 2, and 3 are considered below average. The report also provides a better understanding of a student's abilities to learn in terms of verbal or spatial preferences. If a student is verbally inclined, he may learn easily through speaking, listening, or reading, including writing activities. However, a student who is more spatially inclined would benefit from working with his hands, using pictures, using manipulators to enhance his learning. Understanding a student's ability to learn helps the teacher in planning her lesson. She can include activities that would advance a student's learning, keeping in mind his verbal and spatial abilities. The data will be presented to you is through the graph on your screen. Classically, the blue dots represent the boys and the pink dots, the girls. The most defining piece of data lies at the extreme ends of the bell curve, very low and very high. Students falling in the very high category also come under the gifted and talented, and they will achieve a stenine of 9. But this means that your lesson must involve a level of challenge to keep them engaged, or they can be easily bored and distracted. Those falling at the very low category are your slow learners, students with learning difficulties. You can also employ the help of the SOD personnel because they have a complete profile of students falling in this category. They will help you and guide you as to how best the student learns, what are the techniques you can employ for him or her, so that the student is given an equal opportunity in the lesson. Most defining data lies on the extreme ends of this curve, students falling in the very low and very high category. Those who fall in the very high category normally achieve a stenine of 9, and they may also come under the gifted and talented. This means that your lessons must involve a level of challenge that will keep them engaged. Otherwise, they are easily bored and distracted. Students falling in the very low category are a cause of concern. They may fall under the SOD list. They are your slow learners. They are students who may not follow the lesson at the same pace that the others are. You may have to plan different activities for them. It's important that you engage such students also in the lesson, because every student in your class must receive an equal opportunity to learn. The picture that you saw on the previous slide was an individual report. The picture on your slide now is the normal distribution curve graph, which is symmetric. This means half falls below the average and the other half above average. Is the most common distribution for independent variables. Your year group will also be presented to you using the same curve graph. The example before you clearly shows what the green bar, the blue, the purple, the navy blue, and the pink line stands for. Every battery has this analysis in the report for teachers. This chart shows you subjects in which students with different abilities may excel. However, the purpose of the CAT4 assessment is not only to know your students' ability, but to plan your lessons in the best possible manner that would support your learners' ability. Subjects like math and English are compulsory right up to year 11. So the purpose of the CAT4 report is to understand how best a student learns. Thank you so much for listening. I do hope this video is of help to you. Should you need further clarifications, please get in touch with me. I wish you all the best and welcome to the BiScholars.